Hey everybody, this is Evan with Tabletop Gaming Guild, and today I'm bringing you another review, and this time it is Blood and Steel by Firelock Games. So, Blood and Steel covers a very large section of wars that happened in the Victorian age, 1837 to right to the turn of the century, 1901. So that's all covered into this book, but I'm going to take you down to the table, and I'm going to show you exactly what's in here, and bring you back up and give you my final thoughts on this. Alright everybody, so down here on the table we have Blood and Steel by Firelock Games. So this is a miniature game for in 28mm. It is a skirmish style game, and as you can see here, covers the Victorian age of combat from 1837 to 1901. So, really nice hardback copy here. We're going to flip to the back here, really nice artwork onto the back, some nice miniatures. As you can see, these are the 6 main wars that they're going to be talking about and covering into this, and you're going to actually have actual armies that are listed here. Let me bring it up a little closer. So these are what are going to be covered into that, and there are some other things that you could probably pull from using these lists here, but it gives you an idea. A very broad section here. So this is the third game that Firelock has put out into this line. So Blood and Plunder and Blood and Valor are the first two, and Blood and Steel here is the third one. So it's built off of the same system here. So if you're familiar with the other two, you're going to be familiar with this fairly quickly. So as much like in Blood and Valor, here is the world in the 19th century, and again it's going to have the list of the different armed conflicts that is going to be in here, and you can see they broke it down even a little bit more, so what you could use it for. And contents here, table of contents, and it's going to be laid out very similarly to Blood and Valor here. And table of contents, as I said before, I always like, and there's a nice index here into the back for quick referencing of anything you absolutely need. Quick reference guide at the very back, which is very important. Markers if you need anything you can copy out of, or they have available, and their little ads for the other things. Again, a note section, but to each their own if you're going to use it. So this is laid out much like Blood and Valor, where it does the 1 point whatever or 2 point whatever. So for easy reading, lots of big, beautiful pictures that they use in here of miniatures. And then as you can see, it's broken down very nicely with picture examples. So section 2, starting the game. So it's basically how you would get started with this, what you need to play a game, and then you're going into the anatomy of the game chart, which is very similar to some of the other Firelocks like I have over here, Blood and Valor or any of the other ones. You have your actions that you can use for your units. There's a very broad era that is covering, so it's kind of make this a little more generic in order to do that, but they don't lose a lot of historical flavor by doing that. So terrain, because it's very important in these style games, especially for skirmish style. Now most of this is revolved around the rifle warfare, so how shooting works, all broken down nicely, and then close combat, because there are, if you go into like the Zulu wars where Anglo-Zulu, they're using spears and whatnot there, so definitely close combat is very important also. Charging your units like American Civil War, laid out really nicely. And then multiplayer games, how you would set that up, what you would do, what you're looking for. And then we're going to skip here into like the missions itself. So they have this even slimmed down a lot more than a lot of the other games that I have played, which I am really a big fan of. Really shrinking this down, because a lot of times they don't need as much as they put into those pages. So we can put this down here, just a couple pages. That's all you really need in order to lay out the missions. So, but we're going to skip back here. So when you get into the units, different traits that exist for them here, all laid out here on one page. Really nice. Then, like I said, talk about the missions. The crux here of this, building your forces, how you're going to build your forces, and then the force list. So broken down by the different wars here. So like Second Seminole War, you're going to have the list for that, all listed out right here. So if I want dragoons for that, there they are. It is a point-buy system, so here's the Seminoles for that. And then as we skip ahead, Mexican-American War, and it's going to lay everything all out there. So American Civil War. A little more broader into that, but I mean, we don't get into that. And as you can see, all the different ones there. And there's a big old section of them. So, some notes from the author, and then you're to the index. Really, really laid out nicely. And it gives some nice options if you're looking for something alternative to play in the age of muskets. And I really was a big fan of the broadness that it has, because a lot of these don't have really rules or specific, or you have to go to a very specific rule set for them. Now it's all in one book. So I'm going to bring it back up and give you my final thoughts here on Blood and Steel. Alright, so back up from the tabletop here, we're going to talk a little bit more about Blood and Steel. And Firelock does it again. So a lot of the eras here, as I showed you, that are covered in this book are not really covered very much by miniature rules. Osprey has a very wide selection of eras that they cover, but in order to cover all of this and some of the extras that are include that, you're talking 6, 8, 10 books in order to do that, or one. The eras kind of overlap enough technology-wise that you're able to do that. There are some differences, but they're able to cover into this. As I said down into the table there, you're not losing a lot of historical flavor, which is, for some people, very important when you're playing these games, to make these eras feel distinct. They do a great job capturing all this. The big thing to remember, like this, Blood and Valor, Blood and Plunder, the other lines that they do, these are small skirmish style games where you're looking at 30 to 40 figures top end on your side. So we're not talking 120, 150 figures to get started. I mean, it is designed for 28 millimeter, but you can do alternate sizes with some slight modifications into it. You know, you could do it with 15 millimeters or something else. But there are ways you can do this a little bit cheaper, a little bit easier, and you can do this very easily. So if you are interested in any of these eras here, definitely pick up this book. Check it out. You're not going to regret it. Firelock does a great job laying out the rules so that it's easy to learn, easy to pick up, and easy to get going. But until later, this is Evan with Tabletop Gaming Guild. Have a good night.